Okay, well, welcome. Welcome to Releasing Old Baggage for the New Year, How to Finally Forgive with A Course in Miracles. Thank you once again to all of you for being here with us. I'm Emily Perry. I'm the Executive Director of the Circle of Atonement, and I'm joined by Robert Perry, founder of the Circle and lead editor of the complete and annotated edition of A Course in Miracles, which we publish here at the Circle of Atonement. We have a very full agenda of material to share with you today. But before we get into it, let's just take a moment, as we always do, to have some quiet so that we can clear our memory, our minds of all of those unserving thoughts and make room for the remembrance of love. So if you would, please close your eyes. Let's all take a deep breath together. And let's pray. Dear God, thank you for the opportunity to come together today as loving friends and mighty companions on this remarkable path of light. We surrender this gathering to you, and we ask that it serve your purposes and be blessed by you. Dear God, we give our trust to you and the power that works through you to heal the world. We give you our eyes that we may see with the vision that looks beyond the madness and the error of this place and this time, and rests quietly on your eternal truth. We give you our thoughts that we may free our minds from fear and thus bring peace to the minds of others. We give to you our unforgiveness. We give to you our anger, our attacks, our grievances, and the temptation to perceive ourselves as unfairly treated, because we would rather know you than see guilt in each other, which your presence shines away. Help us to follow in the way that you have shown, to find the silence in which your words can be heard, to view everyone as equal in beauty, dignity, holiness, and worth, and to teach only love, that the very ground on which we stand becomes holy, because it is heaven's song reflected through us. We trust that there is nothing more desirable than this, nothing we could ever want more, nothing that would ultimately bring us more rest. And so with that in mind, we extend our love and our blessing to everyone who is joining us today, and a shared commitment to the message of today. We say to each other, to ourselves in our mind, my forgiveness is the means by which the world is healed, together with myself. Let me then forgive the world, that it may be healed along with me. Remembering that you are always ready for whatever you are called to do, always ready for who you are called to forgive, because you are giving your strength to the strength, you are giving your trust to the strength of God. He will not fail to help you, because it is his own goal to bring forth a world that sides with love through you. And so it is. Amen. All right. So thank you, Robert. Lesson 122 in the workbook of A Course in Miracles. Many of you may be familiar with that. This lesson is entitled Forgiveness Offers Everything I Want. And in that lesson, we are given a beautiful list of benefits that we can have in our lives if we only learn to forgive. So as you can see here, the lesson says, what could you want? Forgiveness cannot give. Do you want peace? Forgiveness offers it. Do you want happiness, quiet mind, a certainty of purpose, and a sense of worth and beauty that transcends the world? Do you want care and safety and the warmth of shore protection always? Do you want a quietness that cannot be disturbed, a gentleness that can never be hurt, a deep, abiding comfort, and a rest so perfect it can never be upset? All this forgiveness offers you and more. That is a pretty remarkable list, isn't it? Peace, happiness, a quiet mind, certainty of purpose, sense of worth and beauty, care and safety, rest. These are the things that we spend our whole lives searching for. These are the things that we are on the spiritual journey to find. And the Course says that we can have them. We can have all of them, even in this world, but only if we forgive. And so that is what we're doing here today. In the Course, forgiveness is not just the bottom rung of the spiritual ladder. It's not something nice to do while you're really learning what it means to be spiritually advanced. The Course takes forgiveness and puts it in the very center of what it means to walk this path. And that's important for all of us to know. That's important to know because whether you are new to A Course in Miracles or whether you've been studying the Course for a long time, you want to know the kind of person that your spiritual path is leading you to become. And in the Course, we are led to become more loving, more peaceful, more joyous, people who see everyone as equal in holiness, dignity, and worth. And all of this happens, the Course teaches, on the back of our willingness and our capacity to forgive. And while there's never a bad time to talk about forgiveness, the new year is a particularly good time because we know that when we forgive, as I said in the prayer, when we release our anger, our attacks, our grievances, our temptation to perceive ourselves as unfairly treated, we are given a clean slate. We're given a new beginning. And that's what we tend to want. That's what tends to inspire us about every new year. And so I want to talk about the new year for just a moment. Because on one hand, there really isn't anything special or magical about January 1st. It's just a day in our calendar like any other day. But on the other hand, the new year is a time when a lot of us tend to reflect on how things are going in our lives, how we'd like them to go, and what needs to change to get from here to there. And so that's where our resolutions come in. You know, we resolve to do things differently. We resolve to hold ourselves accountable. And the hope is that if we get that right, then our lives will begin anew. We'll get it right. Our lives will begin anew from that place. And we can all relate to this because there have been times in our lives, Robert likes to call them the BCAD moments, where that's actually happened. You know, I'm talking about positive things here, like the birth of a child, a happy marriage, where when that thing happened, nothing in your life was ever the same again. That's what we want out of every new year. But obviously, those new beginnings that we hoped for don't often live up to what we make of them in our minds. So another year rolls around and we didn't lose the weight. We didn't get organized. Our finances look the same. We're still drinking. We know the drill. And so in the wake of that, oftentimes what happens is that we sour on fresh starts. And we begin to say, well, I don't make resolutions. Not this year, not any year. And that's another way of saying, I'm not going to get my hopes dashed again. Not this year, not any year. And yet, there's this little pilot light in us that will always love new beginnings because we're always kind of longing for fresh starts. We can bury that light, we can douse it in water, but we can't ever truly snuff it out. And I know that's true of each of you because you're here. You're here because that little pilot light in you got excited about new beginnings. And we almost can't help it. We almost can't help but take that hope that we all have for new beginnings and put it on the new year each and every year. And what's interesting is that A Course in Miracles does the exact same thing. The Course is all about new beginnings. It's all about the past being over to the point of no longer existing, which is a really inspiring idea if we think about it. The Course is all about asking us to step out of past patterns so that we make a new choice in the present and thereby give ourselves a different future. And beyond just connecting with our desire for new beginnings, the Course also attaches that desire to the new year. So on December 28th of 1966, while dictating the text, Jesus said, quote, "Make this year different." That's in chapter 15, rather, of the CE. And then in chapter 16, there's a part of the dictation that occurred just a few days later on January 1st of 1967. He said, "This is the year for the application of the ideas that have been given you." And what's really cool is that on that same day, so January 1st of 1967, Jesus even urged Helen and Bill to make a New Year's resolution with him. He said, "Today, let us resolve together to accept the joyful tidings that disaster is not real and that reality is not disaster." And Robert is going to be getting more into what that specific idea means in just a minute. And also on December 31st of 1975, so here again, New Year's Eve, in a special message to Helen, he said, "This year will be different." And so he's thinking of new beginnings in the new year, and he has resolutions for us as well. He wants our new year to be truly new, not just a variation of the same old new year, new you stuff. He wants a new year and a new you, only his way of getting there is not what we think. So, what is his resolution for us? In the Course, all roads lead back to forgiveness. And that makes sense as a New Year's resolution if you think about it, because if we want a new you, if you want a new you, what anchors you to the past more than old grievances? So you can't have a new you if you're holding on to old grievances. And so if you could truly drop that old resentment towards your parents, towards your spouse, towards your ex, towards your colleagues, towards your kids, wouldn't you be someone new? And if we're talking about finally living up to our ideals, is our deepest ideal to lose weight? Is our deepest ideal to get organized? I think our deepest ideal is to be a genuinely loving person and a true embodiment of love in this world. And so, if we want to let go of the past and make a fresh start based on living up to our highest ideals, forgiveness is the perfect way to do that. The Course has its own ideas about what that means.
It certainly does. You know, you're talking about forgiveness being this gateway to a whole new beginning. And yet, I think something in our mind thinks, is forgiveness powerful enough to do that? I remember many years ago when I first came upon that lesson that you read, Emily, about forgiveness offering everything I want. My mind just thought, like, what? Like I was very young. I had not given much thought at all to forgiveness. And now it offers everything I want. I couldn't grasp how forgiveness could do that. And as you're basically implying, forgiveness in the Course can do that because the Course sees forgiveness in very different terms. So I'm going to talk for a bit about how forgiveness is understood in the Course compared to how we conventionally understand it. And I hope through that you can get some sense of just why forgiveness, as understood by the Course, can literally offer us everything we want. Okay, so let's first talk about conventional forgiveness. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. Hope you all can see this. Maybe I should just bump it up a little bit. Okay, so we all have a sense of how conventional forgiveness works, right? Basically, you're letting go of an instance of anger, but it's understood to be justified anger. Okay, the other person truly hurt you. Your anger is justified. That other person, deserve anger, not love. Basically, they owe you a debt. Okay. And you're like a bank. If you think about how a debt works with a bank, okay, you're in debt to that bank and they're holding your debt. It's in their power to enforce it, to collect it, even to come after you. And it's in their power to just cancel it. Okay. Which banks don't do a lot of, in my experience. But in this case, you, as the debt holder, you do decide to cancel the debt. It's yours to do with what you want. So you, in conclusion, you give up your right to anger and retribution. Okay, you have a right. Your anger is justified. You would be justified in taking some form of retribution. But for some reason, you give up that right. Okay. And I think we know the reasons, right? You want to be good, you want to be loving, you want to restore the peace, you want to reconcile. So you have these reasons for wanting to give up your justified anger and your right to exact retribution. But I think therein lies the rub, because essentially what we're doing is we're trying to do this inner gesture that we believe is not justified. It doesn't reflect reality. This person doesn't deserve your love, but you're like trying to love them rather than be angry. They do deserve your anger, but you're trying to not be angry. And so this effort at forgiveness seems like it's swimming directly against what's real, what's true, what's justified. And I think that is the struggle. Have you ever felt that struggle when you try to forgive? It's like, yeah, you want to, but it's almost like a gesture your heart won't make. And I think that's why, is because it's swimming against reality and you're giving up a right. You're giving up a debt. Why? Banks don't give up debts readily. We don't give up debts readily. Okay, so that's conventional forgiveness. Now let's get to the Course has this lovely term that I've never paid attention to, but I'm going to start using it. This is from chapter 3 of the text, and the term is miraculous forgiveness. Isn't that a great term? Miraculous forgiveness. And the main phrase I want to focus on here is in course-based forgiveness, miraculous forgiveness. You change your mind about the nature of reality. It's a great statement, I think. You change your mind about the nature of reality. So your anger in this view didn't come from reality. it came from a false interpretation. The other person is not the person you thought. The Course's language, which I think accords with our emotions, even if we don't use the term, the Course's language is sinner. The other person is not the sinner you thought. Okay. In truth, they are as God created them, which means they're innocent, they're worthy. They are, as the Course says, the holy Son of God, an extension of God, pure, eternal. Okay. If that's who they are, anger does not apply to them, it does not reflect them. And finally, they did not truly hurt you. For you are what they are. You are as God created you. You're still exactly the same as when you issued from his mind, pure and perfect. They haven't changed that. Okay. So in the Course, you have a new view of what's real. You realize that in your anger, you were not seeing what's real, but now you are practicing and recognizing what's real. You see who they really are beyond appearances. You acknowledge who you really are beyond appearances. You're invulnerable. And in realizing this, basically the nature of reality, your anger naturally vanishes and is replaced by love. So in the Course, forgiveness is rooted in what's real, which means it's justified. It reflects the truth. And that has all kinds of implications. And really, it leads to why forgiveness has the power to give us a new beginning. One thing is that it takes us out of that terrible push-pull we feel when we're trying to forgive. You know, I think we all know that experience of we're trying and it just something in us says no. In the Course, it's different because we're not trying to give up a debt that is really ours. We're trying to go from a misperception of reality to truly perceiving reality. And when we really perceive what's real, forgiveness is natural. It's justified. Anger makes no sense. Love is the only thing that's valid. So, to the extent we believe in that other reality, forgiveness becomes something that is natural. Okay. This same distinction also leads to very different results. Okay. And I want to talk about the results forgiveness has on the person that we're forgiving. And I want to talk about the results that forgiveness has on us. Okay. Now, one thing we've been taught, I think we've heard a lot, is that forgiveness is you forgive yourself. Okay. In the Course, the focus is on forgiving others. Okay. We've been told forgiveness has nothing to do with the other person. That's not true in the Course. It is a gift to the other person. But in giving that gift, that's how we end up forgiving ourselves. So stay with me on that. Okay, so let's first look at the effect of forgiving, the effect on others of conventional forgiveness. Now, I've titled this Effects of Conventional, and then in parentheses, Unloving Forgiveness on the Other Person, because I think it's not hard to see that there is a genuine unloving element in conventional forgiveness. So, what are the effects on the other person if they're aware of your forgiveness? First, they feel relieved, of course. How do you feel if the bank has canceled your debt? You feel relieved. So the person receiving your forgiveness, of course, feels relieved. But this can be undermined by this underlying message: you don't deserve it. Yes, I've let go of my anger. I've tried to restore my love for you, but you don't really deserve it. And how can that not compromise that sense of relief? At different places in the Course, we're told the message that conventional forgiveness gives to the other person. Okay, a couple of these are quotes and one's a paraphrase. But there's a place in the text where the message is, my brother, you have injured me. And yet, because I am the better of the two, I pardon you my hurt. That's not that loving of a message. Another one, this is a paraphrase based on something in the Song of Prayer supplement, says, behold, how good am I, who bear with patience and with saintliness the anger and the hurt you give. Again, there's a one-upmanship there, isn't there? Another one, this is a direct quote from the Song of Prayer. I will forgive you if you meet my needs, for in your slavery is my release. In all of these, there's a distinct unlovingness in the forgiveness. And we have this quote at the bottom here, who can forgive and yet despise? And the despise part is obvious. If conventional forgiveness says, you don't deserve it, I'm letting go of my anger, but you don't deserve it. I'm trying to restore my love, but you don't deserve that. Obviously, there is unlovingness in that. And perhaps my favorite example of this is there's a really like beloved saying that's been floating around for a while. You probably have heard of it. And it goes like this: forgive others, not because they deserve forgiveness, but because you deserve peace. And Emily used to tell me that she would use that many years ago in speeches and everybody would melt. She'd get like a nice ah from the audience. It sounds great, but if you think about it, how would it feel to be on the receiving end of that kind of forgiveness? I forgave you, not because you deserve forgiveness, but because I deserve peace. How loved would you feel by that message? I think it's pretty obvious. So let's now turn to the Course's view of the effects of forgiveness on the other person.
I was always saying to you, Robert, that if you want to see a ballroom full of heads nod, give them that quote. Forgive not because they deserve it, because you deserve peace. Everyone is like, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, which feels good to the one forgiving, but not to the one being forgiven. Okay, so in the Course, the effects of miraculous forgiveness are very different. Okay, there's this great quote that says, help him, the other person, to lift the heavy burden of sin you laid upon him, and he accept it as his own and toss it lightly and with happy laughter away from him. That other kind of forgiveness doesn't do that. So miraculous forgiveness gives the other person the message, whatever you have done, whatever guilt I laid on you, whatever guilt you laid on yourself, you are still as God created you, perfectly innocent and forever worthy. So if you really receive that message from somebody who meant it, who felt it, especially in a place where you had really laid guilt on yourself or they had laid it on you as well, that would be a very, very healing message to receive. It would heal you of guilt. It would heal your mind to some degree. The Course says it can even heal your body. That's how powerful it is. And it can restore the love between the two people. Okay. The message of, well, you jerk, the good news is I've forgiven you. That doesn't go that far towards restoring the love. Okay. But let's get to perhaps the most important punchline for us as the people practicing forgiveness. What is the effect of forgiveness on us? And let's see here. Got a couple other tables for you here. Now, since the late 80s, there's been a lot of psychological research on forgiveness. And there are different schools of thought among the different researchers. But the research says that there are powerful effects of forgiveness. And the main effect that you hear talked about is you get free of the bitterness, at least this particular instance of bitterness. If you heard the saying, you stop drinking the poison, sorry, resentment is like drinking poison and waiting for the other person to die. It's a great saying. It's attributed to everybody on the internet, but it's only about 30 years old, but it's a great saying. So we think of forgiveness in terms of we stop drinking the poison, right? And that's great. But the Course, I think, would point out that if your forgiveness is unloving, it's going to carry with it, just like your anger did, it's going to carry with it underlying guilt. Okay, that message we saw of because I am the better of the two, somewhere in your mind, you're going to feel guilt. So, what are the effects of miraculous forgiveness on you? Now, I won't read through them again, but that paragraph that Emily read is so powerful and so beautiful. From the Course's standpoint, forgiveness doesn't rid us of one instance of past bitterness, it offers everything we want. If we were to compile a list of all the gifts that forgiveness gives in the Course, it would be an extremely long list. And Emily highlighted some of these things: peace, happiness, the warmth of sure protection always, deep, abiding comfort, perfect rest. One of the main benefits that the Course lists for forgiveness again and again is forgiveness of oneself. And this is a whole issue, and we'll talk about this more in our forgiveness challenge that I'll talk about shortly. But we are all carrying guilt, according to the Course, for our unlovingness. Forgiveness being the choice, basically, to restore love in our minds, it leads us to forgive ourselves. And we are perhaps the last person we'll forgive. The Course says it also brings us true vision, sight into the true nature of things. And the Course says forgiveness brings us God. It brings us eternity. So let me just go through quickly here a summary of all that I've said. What's the nature of forgiveness? And we'll look at it under the heading of conventional forgiveness and miraculous forgiveness. In conventional forgiveness, you let go of one instance of justified anger. In miraculous forgiveness, you change your mind about the nature of reality in which only love is justified. And this brings with it all the blessings of true reality. The effect on the other person of conventional forgiveness is they feel relief, but it's undercut by the message, you don't deserve this. With miraculous forgiveness, the effect is they get the message, whatever you have done, you are still as God created you, innocent and worthy. And that heals them in mind and body. And then finally, the effect on yourself of conventional forgiveness is you get free of this particular instance of past bitterness, but your unloving forgiveness does carry with it lingering guilt. With miraculous forgiveness, you get everything you've ever wanted: peace, happiness, sure protection, perfect rest, forgiveness of yourself, true vision, God. Everything the human heart longs for comes because forgiveness is bringing with it all the blessings of true reality. So, this hopefully gives you a sense of why forgiveness in the Course is so powerful and why it can offer us a new beginning in the deepest and fullest sense of the word. And so, Emily talked about a new beginning associated with the new year and talked about that coming through forgiveness. And so, what we're going to do in January in our Course Companions program is have a 28-day forgiveness challenge. I'll give you a brief preview of that now. I'll have to go through it quickly. But this just seemed like the perfect way if we're going to like make next year different. If we're going to have a new beginning through forgiveness, this just seemed perfect. And we actually put it to a vote in our online community. And this is what the majority of people voted for. So the idea is it would be a 28-day forgiveness challenge. It would start on the 3rd, just to give us a bit of time to breathe after the 1st, and would go through the 30th. Okay. And the notion is we'd have several theory days at the start. We talk about basically a fuller version of what I've just been talking about now, because it's crucial to get clear on what forgiveness is in the course. Okay. Then we talk about forgiveness as a spiritual practice. It needs to be practice. We'll set ourselves up for, we're going to urge you to focus on one particularly challenging person. But in my experience, many of you will hop around a bit, but we'll encourage focusing on one person. And then the rest of the month is going to follow a pattern, and it's called practice days here. But the idea is that each day there will be a focus on a particular component of forgiveness, a particular justification, like it's not a sin, what they did, it's a mistake. Or like the past is over, it can touch me not. Or like what they did was an appeal for help, for healing and help. Or like the fact that they are God's perfect son. So these are all different kind of aspects or components of forgiveness. There'll be a little bit of teaching, about 5 minutes of teaching, and then we'll have an extended exercise in which we apply that particular component. And many, if not most, of these exercises will be straight out of the course, which contains brilliant, effective forgiveness exercises. Okay. And the idea is that we're going to do 5 days of practice, and then we'll punctuate that with a rest day, no exercise that day, but talking about an issue, like what about boundaries? Then 5 more days, punctuate that with a rest day, how to express your forgiveness to the other person. Then 5 more days, then what if they don't forgive you? We'll end it all with a big composite forgiveness exercise, and then on day 28, talk about what now. The form this will take is that each day of the 28 days, there will be live teaching, and then most of the days, as you can see, there will also be an exercise. From myself and Emily, this will be at 9 a.m. Eastern time, and we'll post the recording directly afterwards. If you can't make, I mean, a lot of people in the world, if you're on the West Coast, you'd be a hero. If you're in Australia, like you're like a saint, right? But we'll post the recording. You'll have a forgiveness journal in which we encourage you to record your experience and thoughts each day. And that will reinforce the effect of what's going on. Okay. Because you'll be working with some deep issues here. We all have accumulated certain people that are a real nexus of negative emotions for us. And then finally, we encourage you to go over to the designated community space in Course Companions and discuss with the community. We'll have a lot of people in this challenge, and the discussion will be led by a dedicated team of 4 companions who have been real heroes in our Course Companion space. So we've invited them to come and help out. Emily and I will be in the discussion space, but we'll be very busy preparing each new day. So you'll have the full support of this team of dedicated and engaged companions. So that is a very brief preview of our 28-day forgiveness challenge to get you started with the new year having a new beginning.
So we will have just a couple of minutes at the end here for questions if you have any related to course-based forgiveness or the 28-day forgiveness challenge or our Course Companions program will be here to answer them. But the 28-day forgiveness challenge that Robert just described for you is within our Course Companions premium membership. And so, as you're making your plans for the new year, if you're interested, if you're not part of Course Companions and you'd like to go through the course with us in this community, I just want to take a moment to tell you a bit more about how you can do that in our Course Companions program. So you'll see on the screen here, if you're in this webinar right now, you've signed up for our free community space. That's what's listed in the navigation bar in blue. We have our premium programs in purple, and our signature premium program is our Course Companions program. And Course Companions is our membership site that walks you through the entire course, every section, every lesson from beginning to end, so that you not only understand what the course says, but how to apply it to your life. And the way that it works is that first you join Course Companions, which you can do within this community, or you can go to coursecompanions.com. And when you purchase Course Companions, which you can do for $28 a month, although no one's turned away from Circle programming for an inability to pay. So the program is $20 a month, which we consider to be very reasonable. But if you need a scholarship, just email info@circleofa.org and we'll be more than happy to provide you with one. But once you're in Course Companions, the way that it works is that you decide on which volume of the course that you want to study, whether it's the text, the workbook, or the manual for teachers. And so as an example, let's just say that you've decided to study the text. And so each day you would come into the community, you would open the text reading program. This will take you through the entire text in 1 year. And once you're in, you'll see the commentaries. You'll know exactly what you're meant to read every day. The commentaries are written by Robert. They include an exercise and questions for reflection. Also, at the bottom, underneath the commentaries for many of the days, you'll see additional resources such as videos from previous classes and times in which over the years we talked about that particular section. In the text reading program, you'll also find a text planner and journal where you can record your answers to the reflection questions or anything else that you want to note. And when you can see an example of the text planner here. They're really beautiful. PDFs, you can type right into them, or you can print them out and save them in a binder as a journal of your year going through the text. Some people have done that. And so when you're done reading your commentary for the day, you just mark it as complete in the community, and then you'll know exactly where to pick up the next day. And then you just rinse and repeat that process every day. You wake up, you read your section in the text or the workbook, you read your commentary in the membership site, and if you're reading the text, you write any insights that you want to remember in the journal. We don't have a text journal, a journal for the workbook just yet, but we're working on that. And as part of Course Companions, you'll also receive access to our live classes each week. Robert and I host text classes every single Tuesday at 11 a.m. Eastern. Marianne Buchowski hosts workbook classes on Wednesday. And in addition to the live classes, you'll also get access to hundreds of recordings of previous classes that we've held over the years, and also access to all of the workshops that we've held since Course Companions began in 2017 as well. All of that is available for you to watch on the site on demand whenever you want. So the new year is a good time to join Course Companions because in the classes, we start at the beginning of the volume and we take you through from start to finish. If you can't attend the classes live, that's no problem. They're all recorded and you can access them in the membership site. And as you're going through the material, as you can see, it's self-paced. There's no doubt that at some point you'll have questions about what it is that you're reading. We have Ask Us Anything on the first Friday of every month from 11 a.m. Eastern to 12:30 p.m., where Robert and I will answer any questions that you have. Those are very fun. They're casual, they're informal, and again, they're recorded if you can attend live. So in addition to the 28-day challenge that we're offering in January for those who are members of Course Companions, we do have a series of bonus gifts for anyone who joins Course Companions right now. As I mentioned, we have our entire collection of previously recorded classes and workshops that are available for you to watch on demand. We charge $35 for each of these workshops in our bookstore, and they're all just sitting there for you in Course Companions and available for you at no extra charge. We have the text planner and journal that you just saw as a bonus for joining. We have a 1-hour recording of Robert and I walking you through the introduction of A Course in Miracles. That's a place to begin, regardless of which volume you're starting with. We have audio recordings of Robert and former Circle teacher Greg Mackey discussing all 365 workbook lessons. Those are at the bottom of the commentaries for the workbook. Those are they're older, they're from 2008, but they're beloved in the Circle community, and people kept asking for them so much that we ended up just putting them as part of the Course Companions program and offering them as a bonus. We have 3 professionally recorded meditations that are based on the workbook that you can just push play and listen to. I think a few of them are as long as 20 minutes, so you can use those to begin your morning practice if you wish. And also from now until December 31st, we have a 2-week trial. So you can try Course Companions, get in there, see if you like it, try it out for yourself. You do have to enter your credit card to take advantage of the trial, but you're not going to be charged until the 2 weeks is over. So you can cancel in that window if you like, and you won't pay a thing. And if you're thinking about joining Course Companions on the trial, we recommend starting today, like this weekend, sometime soon, because then you can get your 2-week trial over with and start in the program for the 28-day forgiveness challenge in the new year. And if you want to join Course Companions, but you're facing some kind of financial hardship, it's no problem at all. Just send an email to info@circleofa.org and we'll be happy to offer you a full or partial scholarship. Please do not let a financial hardship stop you from participating in all that we have to offer as part of your course study. So I know you might have a question of, do I start in the volume that I want to study on January 1st, or do I wait until after the 28-day forgiveness challenge is over? And as you can see, Course Companions is very self-paced. That decision is up to you. You're more than welcome to start on January 1st with the volume, or you're more than welcome to hold on starting until after the challenge is over so that you can really concentrate on that 28-day forgiveness challenge. There's a ton of material in Course Companions. We offer a lot, and how you go through it is entirely up to you. You can join Course Companions from inside the community.circleofa.org, or you can visit coursecompanions.com. we have really quite a remarkable space here in the Course Companions community. It is smart, it's serious, it's warm, it's loving, it's generous. And so if you are looking for a spiritual home where you can learn the Course, we hope that you will join us for Course Companions this year and beyond. If anyone is here and in Course Companions and wants to just type a little note in the chat to say anything about your experience for someone else who hasn't joined, you're more than welcome to do that. We have about 10 minutes remaining, and so we'll take any questions that you have related to the challenge, Course Companions, or course-based forgiveness. So I will... If you have a question, okay, John, go right ahead.
Yeah, my question was, I don't have a lot of communication with other people other than you guys online. And so I'm trying to figure out who my person will be for forgiveness. I really don't see anybody that I haven't already forgiven. I'm sure I have some deep hidden forgivenesses that I need to overcome, but I'm just not clear as to who I would choose. And I don't get a lot of guidance, as you
know. You saw where we were going with that one.
That's hilarious.
This is just to put that out there.
Robert, do you want to speak to that?
I don't know, how to answer that, John. I mean, surely from the Course's standpoint, we've got stuff with everyone. If we're willing to look at it, surely you've got stuff with your main person. Surely there are people from the past that still, there's still lingering stuff with. I would say ask within, pray about it, but you already kind of closed that avenue off.
I'm not closing the door. It's just barely open.
Okay. Yeah, that's all I can think of to say.
Okay, that makes sense. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, John.
There are different parts of the Course where it asks you to close your eyes and think of someone to forgive, and then it'll say, I'm paraphrasing here, but whoever came to mind, that's the one. And so oftentimes that'll happen where you close your eyes and somebody will pop into your mind. You're not a total hermit, John. You're engaged with the world.
Emily, before you go on to the next person, I did see a while back in the chat somebody asked how long the each day's video would be.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe I covered it, but in case I didn't, it's roughly 15 minutes. About 5 minutes of teaching, about 10 minutes of exercise. So that's the plan.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, John. Katrina?
Yeah, I was wondering, for now, I would only like to do the 28-day forgiveness, but can I do that without joining Course Companion? Or, I don't want to pay for the whole year. I just want to do 1 month. Is that possible?
Well, what you can do is you can join Course Companions for 1 month and then you can just cancel. So if you want to do the 2-week trial, you can sign up now, test it out for 2 weeks, and then just do the month of January, and then you'd pay $20 and then you just cancel at the end of it if it's not for you.
You're not locked into anything at all.
Yeah. So also I should say that in Course Companions, it's not something where it's difficult if you want to cancel. You just sign up, and then if you choose to cancel, you just cancel right from your membership profile. You don't have to go through anyone. You can do it all yourself. So there's really no risk to join. And you can join for January and stay if you want, or leave if that's what your guidance says as well.
And the other question I have, so it's at 9 a.m. So I'm in France, so it's 4 p.m. Some days I will not be able to attend. Is that okay?
Yeah, it's totally fine. So what'll happen is those will be recorded. Those little daily forgiveness teachings and exercises will be recorded. They'll be in the Course Companions part of the membership site, and then they'll be there for you whenever it's convenient for you to watch.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, just on that canceling thing, I signed Emily up for a organic grocery delivery service.
Yeah,
and canceling. Yeah, I
cancel.
mean, canceling was unbelievable. We had to like practically turn over your firstborn, you know?
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Katrina. Yeah, but it's really easy to cancel, of course, companions. Hey, Rosie.
Hi, two things. The first one is Course Companions is awesome. It's just that it gives me so much for those $20. It is astounding. I mean, I just love it. I can't say enough about it. All the text classes and everything. It's astounding, astoundingly worth the money. The other thing is I have the opposite problem of John. I have a lot of people.
Too many.
And so Robert said, pick one. Really? We can't just jump around from one day to another. We really need to stay with just one.
Well, here's what I'll say about that. Like, follow your guidance.
Okay,
We used
good.
to do back in the 90s, we used to do these forgiveness retreats in Sedona, and it'd be like, pick one. And, you know, you couldn't make people pick one. People would jump around. That's going to happen.
Oh,
There
good.
is a power in picking one, but we won't attach a stigma to jumping around.
Good, thank you.
And we won't know if you pick more than one anyway.
That's
We
right.
won't even know.
I'm not telling you, but it'll be more than one.
That's fine. No worries, Rosie. And thank you for your kind words on Course Companions. It's
Yeah,
nice to
thank you.
have you there.
Yeah.
Michelle?
Yeah, so I just want to put a plug in for Course Companions. I'm thrilled. Best $200 I ever spent. Oh, that brings up a question. So I was a member last year and this year, and my plan was, until I heard about this challenge, which I definitely am going to do, but I was going to start the text classes on January 1st, and also the study group level 1 leader online class that time also. I want to do this too, but so the question is, are you going to start the text again on the 1st of January this year?
We are. Yeah, we
Okay,
are.
good. That's good, because I'm going to try to keep. I've had trouble in the past keeping up with the classes, and so I'm going to try again. But I'm switching from the workbook to the text. So, and then the other question was, are you still? I know I can go into my account and check this out because I forgot. Is it still a deal where instead of paying $20 a month, you can pay annually, right?
Yes, you can.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
And
then
you
does
save
this,
monthly doing that.
right. And then here's the next question. Does it run from when I joined last? Is that when the year starts? Or does the year start on January 1st and run until December 31st?
It runs on when you join last. Sarah, am I
Okay.
right about that? Okay. Yeah, Sarah's the one who really knows all this stuff. So Sarah's shaking her
Okay.
head.
People join all
Okay,
through the
all right.
year, right? So
Yeah.
if you join in
Yeah.
January, then you're kind of gypped out. You'll have 6 months, you know. Obviously, if
Yeah.
you join in June, I mean. So
I
yeah,
think
so it's whenever you join.
Okay, so that makes it easy for me to like plan what I'm gonna. I had a plan and now I'm changing it slightly, but that's okay. I love the idea of doing this, and I have a thought on, well, picking my person. I don't have the problem that John does. I have plenty of people to forgive, and see more people pop up all the time. It seems like, but my idea, yeah, and I'm related to them, which is even worse. But my idea is, yeah, I know. My idea was I've done a lot of forgiveness work in the past, a lot, but it's been conventional forgiveness instead of miraculous forgiveness. So my idea for this challenge is to pick one person that I really have done the conventional forgiveness and now try this new way and use that person. And then I've done these, retreats, forgiveness retreats also. And my mind just naturally goes to, oh yeah, I forgave that person, but only 50% or only 75%. So I'm going to try to finish a little more of this person and a little more of this person. So the goal is, of course, to get to 100% forgiveness, miraculous forgiveness with everybody current and past. So that's how I'm looking at it. I don't know.
That's a great way to look
Great.
at it. Yeah.
That is a
Okay.
great way to look at it. And it's a muscle. It'll get stronger as you
Right.
build it
Right.
all
Well,
through the month.
if there's a way to overcomplicate something, I will find it.
Well, we look forward to seeing you in the challenge, Michelle, and hope it
Yeah.
works for you.
Yeah.
We'll take Jean and then we'll close. So go ahead.
Hi. I have a question in selecting my person too for forgiveness, and there's one looming one, which I'm hesitant to choose. I don't know. I guess I'm kind of attached to the non-forgiveness there, or I feel like I'm really going to fail at it. It's a parent who's passed away, and didn't get good love from and kept safe, and so there's just a lot of issues a lot around that. Would you recommend that I pick someone who is less triggering and painful?
We're going to take you through a process of choosing someone. And like I said to Rosie, we won't like make it a stigma if you do more than one person. But, hopefully there'll be some sense of being guided, because there's a case to be made for, starting on the bunny slopes and starting with somebody maybe a bit easier. And there's a case to be made for not avoiding that, what clearly sounds like a more challenging case. And hopefully you'll have your own inner sense about that based on the process we take you through.
Yeah.
Okay. So think about that some more then.
Yeah. I wish I was so plugged in I could just say exactly what you should do, but I can't.
Okay. Thank
well,
you.
hopefully that will become clearer as we get into some of that introduction of the 28-day challenge, and that person will become clear in your mind, and you'll know the right direction to go. All right, everyone. Well, thank you so very much for joining us for our webinar. As you can tell, we're really excited about a new year with Course Companions, really excited about this 28-day forgiveness challenge and the community building that happens when we do these dedicated months. And so we really appreciate you being here with us. And I'll just close by saying that Robert and I have been remarking this morning about the 1 year nature of the course. And it really does take this idea of new beginnings and new year seriously. The workbook is a year, obviously. It calls the year that you do the workbook a holy year. And there's the beautiful line towards the end of the workbook that says that this is this 1 year we gave to God. And so if you want to go through, if you want to make 2024 the 1 year that you give to God, then we hope that you'll join us in the community as part of Course Companions. And we look forward to seeing you there. And have a great rest of your day, everyone. Thank you for joining us, and bye for now.